It always starts with that marketplace ad. I see something, and then when I see free, the challenge begins. So I was able to get this little chair free. I would have liked to have also gotten a desk, but I was unable to fit that in my car. And this is all part of the patio furniture challenge, hosted by Margie from the Asking Spot. So there's a lot of wobbling going on in this chair. The legs are super loose in the front, so it would not be safe for anyone to sit on. Although for my intentions, somebody might not be sitting on this chair, but I'm going to fix it up anyway. Trying to squeeze the last of the Tight Bond Thick and Quick out of that bottle. I'll get it. I'm folding up the bottle and everything to try to get the last of the remaining out. And of course I took the cap off to unplug. Put a screw in there to unplug it a little bit just in case that was clogged up, because that happens pretty frequently. Left overnight to dry. My clamp did the job along with the Tight Bond Thick and Quick glue, good as new. Now I'm going to clean this. I mentioned that my intentions were not necessarily for someone to sit on this chair. Even though it's for the patio challenge, it's going to become a planter for lots of succulents. And even though it's going to be outside and planted and all that stuff, I still want to clean it because I want my paint to adhere. Did you see how much dirt came off of there? I sprayed it on the rag rather than to spray it in the air, since I'm working out behind the counter at the store today. So you can see the clothing from the Laurel and Stitch boutique in the background. Rinsing with plain water, so I really don't mind if I get any just mist water on anything. And maybe, since it's 95 degrees, if I hit the fan, I'll get a nice little spray. Although I am blessed enough to be working in the air conditioning. In case you don't know, my store sits inside a store, which is a furniture store, and there's a women's clothing boutique. These are the succulents that I got for inside my planter chair. So I'm going to get started painting, and I'm using Silk All-in-One Mineral Paint. That is a paint that has a built-in primer and a built-in sealer. I'm taking a little bit of a chance because the morning sunrise is a light, very light gray purple. And if there was any bleed through, it's going to come through on this color. But the primer saved me, and also I didn't see any big chips or raw spots, so I didn't have any bleed through. And I wasn't particularly concerned if I did. So is this paint safe for outside? Well, I would say yes. I would prefer it to be on a covered porch. It would probably deteriorate eventually. But I have made signs for my store 2 different times, and I used Dixie Belle paints, and they withstood the elements. So this having a sealer in it, I would feel more confident with it. But again, I'm not going to leave mine out in the complete weather because I already love this and I'm claiming it. I spent about $30 on the succulents. So you see me here again in the store doing my painting. I have the chair on wheels, so it's easy to just flip it around. So I'm blending this paint, as you can see. The next color I go into is Everglades. It is a gorgeous green. Right now it's still being kind of muddied with the other color, but as I keep painting, the color will become more pure. There you can see more of it coming out now. I love the way it's all blending together, and I love to use silk paint and blend with one brush. I don't know why, but I just always love the results that I get. So you can see more of that color coming out. Now I kind of went the whole way down to the arms on the front of the piece, but as I get into the next color, I'll start that on the legs in the front, but it will be blended in the back. So the next color is called Smoky Mountains, and it's kind of a blue-green, and they will blend together, as I said, in the back. I'm just loving those colors. I love the way they're blending together, and I was inspired by the succulent plants. So that's the colors that I was thinking when I selected these colors. I wanted a little more intensity with the Everglades color. So I just kind of go over the main areas and then just blend in with the rest of the paint. Now that both paints aren't wet, then I'm kind of just doing a dry brush blend. So I just kind of paint the main areas and then just work my way out so there's less paint on the brush. You see I'm only using the lid to use the paint, so I'm not putting on a lot in the first place. So I'm not sure why I did it, but I'm glad I did. I took that brush with the green on it and I went up to the top and I just did some more dry brushing on the morning sunrise color. And I loved the results. It kind of looked like almost like moss on there. Just truly love it. And then when the paint was wet, I dipped my brush into Dixie Dirt in the earth color. I figured what better than something that's going to go on the patio and you're talking about plants than to use the earth color. But I'm just taking it wherever the paint is wet and just kind of smashing some of this powder into it. It's just going to give it a little bit of that grungy, dirty look that gives it the age and the character. Not that this chair didn't have a lot of character in the first place, but when you take it and you paint all these wild colors, this kind of makes it look more serious. So this little bit of blank real estate on the top of the chair inspired me to get out of my comfort zone and do a little bit of freehand. As I tell people all the time, I rely a lot on transfers and molds and stamps and paint inlays to make things beautiful. Although it takes an eye to design it, I'm still not that strong with my hand painting, even though when I was younger I always used to sketch. So I looked up some ideas for sketching succulents, which I'll share with you at the end of this video, so don't go away too soon. But anyway, I'm sketching them on here, and then I am using Posca markers to begin the process of filling them in. Now, I love the way they end up looking. Instead of kind of an olivey color, which I didn't have, I chose a gold. So I thought that might give it a little interest. And it did, but I will explain to you when we get there what the problem then I was having with it. I used a water brush that I got at the dollar store. I originally got one in a watercolor marker set, and I fell in love with that pen. So if you get one from the dollar store, keep in mind, I don't know if they come from China or what, but the screw is backwards. I really almost broke the pen before I tried screwing the opposite direction, and then it opened up. So keep that in mind. Save yourself a little bit of headache. So this is what it looks like. I actually really like it. It definitely looks like succulents. It's bright, it's colorful, but it's too bright and colorful for the rest of the chair. So I take a little sandpaper and do a little of that to distress it a little bit. Then I decide I need some of those colors that were from the original chair to marry everything together. So I took some of the Smoky Mountain and I used it wherever I used gold. I just kind of went over a little bit, not completely covering up the gold, but wherever I used it, I also used that. So this was just kind of a guide for me to be able to balance the colors on there as I had before with the markers, and marry it to the rest of the chair with the colors that I had already used. I also went over that wet paint with the charcoal Dixie Dirt as well. Now I'm going to give you those quick lessons that I looked up. The first one is drawing a regular succulent, and it looks to me like a helicopter or like a ceiling fan blade or a boat. That's it, a propeller blade. So what you do is draw a propeller, 3 blades, and then take little paragraph lines or smiles and go from the middle of each loop to the next one and do another tier of this in the same way. Then the next row that you do, you're going to start using brackets in the same way. These are the same kind of brackets that you used in algebra equations, but they're easy to draw, and it's the same thing. You go from the middle of the previous petal and you do the next one. And you know, you can kind of improvise if you want, because it does get a little bit difficult. Not difficult, but just like you just wonder, shouldn't there be a leaf there? You know, so just do what you want, because obviously, as in nature, no two are going to be the same. But this is just the general guideline, and obviously it's going to look much better once you get some color in there and shade, like from the green to the purple on the leaves. Some of the succulents just have gorgeous pinks and purples and yellows and turquoise and roses and just all those gorgeous colors. The next one, I'm starting with a pencil. This was the easiest one and probably the most interesting. So first you draw a shallow bowl with your pencil. And then you take, and inside that bowl, you're going to, like you're setting in another bowl that's not as deep or shallow, or not as shallow, I should say, a little deeper. It's like a medium-sized bowl. And then in the middle of that, you want to do a vase. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but that just picture that, setting those three things together. Now, I made my vase a little bit too tall, and you'll see why. But that's the general shape that it's going to allow us. Now I take my marker, and those lines are perfect guidelines for you to draw your leaves in. So I started from the outsides and worked to the inside. I probably should have actually used the lines, but again, I improvised. And you'll see that this isn't rocket science, so whatever you do is going to be fine. So you're just drawing one row, and then you're going to go and draw the next row up using the same guidelines. The next one's super easy. You just do the lines wherever you want them and just put little teardrop shape, make some of them round, just pea size, make them just irregular the whole way up and down both sides of those strands. And that's a burro's tail plant. Next up was to put the succulents in the seat. I had no idea how I was going to accomplish this. I just knew the first thing I probably needed to do was to cut into that burlap fabric. As I suspected, it was full of horsehair braid. So it also had like springs in there like you would find in an old bed. So I didn't know exactly whether maybe the springs would be helpful to hold some of the pots, because that was my idea, because the bottom is just webbing. So if I put dirt in there, it would fall out. And I also didn't want to line it with plastic, because then I would take away the drainage factor. And succulents do not like to be in a lot of water. They hold water. So that's why they're, good in the desert. So anyway, I keep cutting and removing some of the springs, and I put my pot in there, my largest pot. I know that I want one towards the front that as it matures will hang down. And then I also have one that's tall, so it will I want it towards the back of the piece. And then one other one that was a filler. These were just perfect. I actually spent $30. Each of the individual pots, the larger ones were $5 each, and the big one was $15. So I feel like that was a pretty good deal for the big pot. So I just took that horsehair braid or whatever it is called that's in there, which I think that's what they call it, and I just started filling in between the plants. So that was my solution. So remember that rickety old chair that I started with? Well, take a look at it now. Thanks to Margie for hosting this challenge, and please watch all the videos in the playlist. The link will be in the description box. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Consider subscribing. It's free. Hit the join button to be one of our channel members for only 99 cents a month. You'll get some exclusive content. Find us on the web at www.statementdesigns.org and on social media as Statement Designs. Stay well.